Society before gender and development. Gender stereotypes are generalizations about the roles of each gender. Gender roles are generally neither positive nor negative. They are simply inaccurate generalizations of the male and female attributes. So, since each person has individual desires, thoughts, and feelings, regardless of their gender, these stereotypes are incredibly simplistic and do not at all describe the attributes of every person of each gender. So, as you can see in the PowerPoint presentation, the female is supposed to have clean jobs such as secretary, teachers, and librarians, while men have dirty jobs such as construction and mechanics. And the female is make less money than men, while the men are always makes money more than the women. And female is supposed to cook and do housework and also responsible for raising children. And men, compared to men, they are always in charge and they're always at the top, and who work in science, engineering, other technical fields, and also as husband, man tells wife what to do. And lastly, the female is submissive compared to men, which is the dominant. So, kibali sa composition sa family, ang man or the father is responsible for the material being of the wife, children, and elderly dependents, while ang mother is responsible for emotional and spiritual welfare of the family unit. And by that way of introducing things, these children, ang mga bata, magdako bitaw sila nga, magunahuna sila nga, ay, trabaho man na sa bae, trabaho man na sa lalaki, so dili ko dapat na mo trabaho, kay trabaho na nila, ayan na. Thinking that there's always a division of task between men and women, believing that one cannot do it because it is the responsibility of one's gender. Let us proceed to these 3 critical gender gaps. First, we have unequal and insecure rights over land. So, nga makaingon man mo nga sa unang panahon, ang society, ingon man mo nga, puro sa lalaki ang ga-handle bitaw sa yuta. Nganong dili nila ginaalaw ang babae sa una nga mag-handle og yuta. Okay, so let's proceed. So, women make up only 13.8% of landholders globally. So, imagine sa kadaghan sa kuan sa una sa tao, gamay ra gid kaayo ang ga-handle og land nga babae compare sa men, di ba? And it is a huge barrier for women in participating or in leading sustainable management efforts. So katong pangutanan ng kainan no, nganong ang mga babae is dili kayo ga-handle og yuta compare sa men dahil maaaring wala silang kapangyarihan sa paggawa ng desisyon kung paano ginagamit at pinamamahalaan ang lupa kung hindi nila ito pagmamay-ari. Next, number 2, underrepresentation in natural resource decision-making and leadership. So, mao gyapon no ang mga babae sa una is dili kaayo sila gina-participate sa kanang political, usually gid men jud no sa una. So, women are vastly underrepresented in decision-making. This means that when it comes to natural resources and ecosystem management, women's needs, priorities, and knowledge are often ignored or overlooked. And when it comes to executive and legislative positions, more and more men became the members of this policy-making body compared to women. Women became outnumbered in political participation and representation because they believe that men are more strategic and firm than women. So next we have gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is used as a form of control, subjugation, and exploitation to maintain and reinforce gender inequality. So sa una, way back before, women and girls face forms of violence and discrimination in their society, whether it's domestic abuse, sexual violence, or psychological violence. Ang mga babae sa una, before has experienced some forms of violence kay tungod kay bae lang sila, hinhin, and dili ga voice out Abantay mo atong Maria Clara at Ibarra, di ba? Nakita ni Maria sa una nga mambait kay kanang dili gasukol nga gabugbugon sila sa fraile, dili sila ga voice out, nga nagpasagdan na lang nila nga gina-abuse sila. So women constantly in fear of abuse, freedoms curtailed, and legal and judicial systems not gender sensitive. Next, we proceed to the gender and development, how it started. So the GAD approach emerged in the 1970s and 1980s as a response to the limitations of the women in department approach. Sa una no, nagsugod sila na women in development. Mo gina siyang una. But wala siya ginapadayon kay failure siya bitaw. Nag-fail siya, dili kay siya gagamiton kaayo sa una hantod nga nahimo siyang women and development. And then nahimo na din siyang gender and development. So the WID approach focused primarily on women's economic contributions and argued that women's subordination could be addressed through their integration into mainstream development processes. However, the WID approach was criticized. Criticized for its narrow focus on women's economic roles, its failure to challenge gender inequalities. Mao to siya kung ingon sa inyo gaina nga nagka-failure ang WID, dili ka siya gamiton sa una. And its assumption that women's interests were homogeneous. So the GAD approach emerged as a more comprehensive and nuanced approach to gender and development. Mo rin to siya nga na-develop na din ang gender and development kay nag-emerge na siya as more comprehensive and nuanced approach to GAD. So before we proceed, let us know unsa ilang two major focus no sa it focused on two major frameworks, which is the social relation analysis and gender roles. So ang social relation analysis is produce cross-cutting inequalities which ascribe each individual a position in the structure and hierarchy of their society. Gender relations are one type of social relation. Others include those class, race, ethnicity, and so on. So this means nga naay inequality, like for example sa election, kung close nimo to nga kato siya nga tao, like katong gadagan bitaw sa election, kung close nimo siya dito, dali ra ka maka-access bitaw og mga ayuda or kanang kwarta-kwarta, ingana dali ra ka maka-access, daghan ka-access, daghan ka resources. Unlike sa mga tao nga layo sa syudad, ingana mga nasa bukid, mga ethnic people, or wala, or dili sila makadali-dali og access bitaw sa kanang resources o kanang mga hinabang. Muna siya nga naa siya inequality. Muna siya ang social relation analysis. The second major is gender roles. It reveals the expectation from maleness or femaleness in the relative access resources. So gender roles in society, like kanang how we expected to act, how we expected to dress, to speak, and conduct ourselves based upon our assigned sex. So, mo na din to ang gender and development. Gender and development na mandate na din siya in the 1987 Philippine Constitution, gina-approved and adopted by former President Fidel V. Ramos as Executive Number 273 on September 8, 1995, which is the Republic Act Number 9710 or Magna Carta of Women Act. So, ang kaning gender and development man yun no kay gina-focus lang nila is ang tanan gender, babae man or laki. Pero ang katong mga society magid sa una, ang ma-highlight bitaw sa ato kay ang mga babae is looy, ingana. So, muna na create na din ang gender and development para na ay kanang equal bitaw ang tanan. Since na implement na siya nga law, na approve na kay former President Fidel V. Ramos, na din protection from all forms of violence. Na din participation and representation, especially on women. Na din siya equal treatment, equal access in education, scholarships, training, and healthcare services. And then, ginafocus na din nga ang bawat babae ay dapat unahin sa pagbibigay ng proteksyon at kaligtasan sa panahon ng sakuna at kalamidad. Nano din siya yung Republic Act no 19710 or Magna Carta of Women Act. Ginafocus na siya sa mga babae nga lahat ng babaeng Pilipino, ano man ang edad, ano man ang trabaho, religion, profession, pinag-aralan o pinagmulan, maging sa may kapansanan ay kanang ginauna na gid nila ang mga babae. And of course, apil gyud ang lalaki pero gina-highlight jud ang babae. Kag nga na-implement siya. And that's all. Thank you.